Julia's heart pounded as the plane jolted through turbulence, her knuckles white on the armrest. She leaned toward her seatmate, a chatty businessman, and whispered loudly enough for nearby passengers to hear. "Can you believe they let someone like that fly this thing? I mean, a pilot with a limp probably can't even run in an emergency." The words slipped out fueled by her anxiety and a lifetime of unchecked biases, but as the cabin lights flickered, she caught a glimpse of a woman in the aisle seat across, her eyes narrowing in quiet fury. Josephine, though Julia didn't know her name yet, the very pilot she'd just mocked, off-duty and heading to the same corporate merger that would change everything. Josephine sat rigidly, her prosthetic leg hidden beneath her slacks, a remnant of a car accident years ago that had nearly ended her career. She had overheard every word, the sting sharper because it came from a stranger who embodied the polished, privileged world she navigated daily. As the flight attendant announced their descent into New York, Josephine's mind raced. This woman, with her designer handbag and impeccable makeup, was likely one of the new executives from the acquired firm, perhaps even reporting to her soon. The irony burned. Josephine had fought tooth and nail for her position at Apex Airlines, not just as a skilled aviator but as an openly lesbian woman in a male-dominated industry, facing whispers and outright discrimination. Now this casual cruelty from someone she might have to lead? It was a test she hadn't anticipated. Julia disembarked with a sigh of relief, oblivious to the encounter's ripple effects. She hailed a cab to her Manhattan hotel, her thoughts already shifting to the big meeting tomorrow. At 28, Julia had climbed the ranks at Skyline Aviation through sheer determination, her marketing prowess turning failing campaigns into gold. But beneath the facade of success lay a turmoil she buried deep. Her attraction to women, a secret she'd guarded since college, fearing it would shatter her conservative family's expectations. Her parents, devout Catholics from a small Texas town, had drilled into her the importance of a normal life, marriage, kids, stability. Coming out? Unthinkable. So she dated men sporadically, played the part, and channeled her energy into work. Little did she know, the woman she'd insulted was about to upend that fragile balance. That evening, Josephine paced her hotel room, replaying the incident. Her limp, a result of the accident that claimed her best friend's life, was something she'd turned into a badge of resilience. But hearing it weaponized so flippantly stirred old wounds. As the new VP of Operations post-merger, she'd oversee the integration, including Julia's department. Should she confront her? Report it? Or let it slide, proving her professionalism? Josephine's own journey had been fraught with similar battles. Coming out in her early 20s had cost her family ties. Her father, a retired military man, had disowned her, calling her lifestyle a phase born of rebellion. Yet it had freed her to build a life authentic and unapologetic. Now, facing this prejudice, she wondered if silence was complicity or strategy. The next morning, the conference room at Apex headquarters buzzed with tension. Julia entered, coffee in hand, scanning the faces of her soon-to-be colleagues. When Josephine walked in, introduced as the lead on the merger, Julia's stomach dropped. The woman from the plane, tall, poised, with a subtle limp she now noticed fully, locked eyes with her. Josephine's introduction was crisp. "I'm Josephine Ramirez, and I'll be overseeing operations. Let's make this transition smooth." No mention of the flight, but the air crackled with unspoken accusation. Julia forced a smile, her mind whirling. Had she heard? The meeting dragged on, discussions of synergies and redundancies, but Julia's focus splintered. Every time Josephine spoke, her voice steady and authoritative, Julia felt a pang. Not just guilt, but an unwelcome spark of admiration for her confidence. As the day wore on, breaks allowed for mingling. Julia avoided Josephine, burying herself in notes, but fate intervened during lunch. Seated at the same table by chance, Julia stammered an introduction. "Hi, I'm Julia Thompson from marketing." Josephine nodded coolly. "I know. We were on the same flight yesterday." The words hung like a guillotine. Julia's face flushed. "Oh right. Turbulent ride, huh?" She tried to laugh it off, but Josephine's gaze pierced. "Yes, and enlightening." The subtext was clear. Julia's appetite vanished. She excused herself, retreating to the bathroom where she splashed water on her face. What had she done? Her casual ableism, born from ignorance and stress, now threatened her career. But deeper, it forced her to confront her own hypocrisies. How could she judge someone's flaw when she hid her own identity out of fear? Back in the meeting, Josephine pushed forward, outlining plans that would require close collaboration with marketing. She assigned Julia to lead a joint project on rebranding, a decision that surprised even her. Why give her a chance? Perhaps it was a test, or maybe Josephine saw potential beneath the blunder. As the session ended, Josephine pulled Julia aside. "We need to talk about yesterday." Julia's heart sank. In a quiet corner, Josephine spoke evenly. "What you said on the plane about the pilot's disability, it was me. I'm the pilot you mocked." Julia's eyes widened in horror. I didn't know. I'm so sorry. It was stupid, I was scared." Josephine studied her. "Fear doesn't excuse cruelty. But I believe in second chances. Prove me right." With that, she walked away, leaving Julia reeling. That night, Julia couldn't sleep. The encounter gnawed at her, amplifying her internal conflicts. She'd always prided herself on being progressive, yet her words revealed a blind spot. And Josephine, strong, unyielding, stirred something unfamiliar. Attraction? No, she pushed it down. But as she researched Josephine online, learning of her accolades and her advocacy for LGBTQ rights in aviation, the admiration grew. Josephine had come out publicly, facing backlash, but emerging stronger. Julia envied that courage. Her own secret weighed heavier now. What if her family found out? Her mother called weekly, probing about boyfriends, hinting at grandchildren. The pressure built like storm clouds. The following weeks blurred into intense work sessions. Julia threw herself into the project, determined to redeem herself. Meetings with Josephine were charged, professional on the surface but laced with tension. Josephine challenged Julia's ideas, pushing her to think deeper. And in those debates, Julia saw glimpses of Josephine's vulnerability. One evening, over late-night takeout in the office, Josephine shared a bit. "The accident changed everything. Lost my leg, my confidence for a while. But it taught me to fight for what matters." Julia nodded, hesitating. "I'm glad you did. You're inspiring." The words felt genuine, and for a moment, their eyes met longer than necessary. Julia's pulse quickened. Was this just respect or more? As the merger progressed, whispers circulated. Some colleagues questioned Josephine's leadership, citing her lifestyle as a distraction. Julia overheard a group in the break room. "A lesbian running ops? What if it affects morale?" The words echoed her family's potential reaction, stirring defensiveness in Julia. She spoke up. "Her personal life doesn't matter. She's damn good at her job." The group fell silent, surprised. Later, Josephine thanked her. "Didn't expect that from you." Julia shrugged. "People surprise you." The bond strengthened, but so did Julia's turmoil. Late nights led to confessions. Julia admitted her family's expectations, her fear of disappointing them. Josephine listened, sharing her own estrangement. It hurts, but living a lie hurts more. Yet cracks appeared. Julia's ex-boyfriend, Mark, re-entered the picture, calling persistently. He represented the safe path heteronormative approved. When he visited New York, Julia agreed to dinner, telling herself it was closure. But Josephine saw them together outside the office, misunderstanding it as Julia backpedaling on her growth. Hurt, Josephine distanced herself, assigning Julia to a subordinate role on the project. "I thought you were changing," she said coldly. Julia protested. "It's not what you think." But the damage was done. The betrayal stung both ways. Julia felt accused unfairly, Josephine felt played. The rift widened as weeks turned into months. Julia buried her confusion in work, but the office air thickened with unspoken words. Josephine's decisions grew sharper, her feedback on Julia's proposals laced with criticism that felt personal. "This lacks depth," she'd say in meetings, her eyes avoiding Julia's. Colleagues noticed the tension, speculating in hushed tones about a fallout. Julia's performance suffered. Late nights alone in her apartment, she replayed their conversations, questioning her feelings. Was the pull toward Josephine romantic, or just admiration twisted by guilt? The thought terrified her. Admitting it would mean confronting her identity, risking everything. One afternoon during a team-building retreat in the Catskills, the pressure boiled over. Assigned to the same group activity, a trust fall exercise, Julia hesitated when it was her turn to catch Josephine. You sure about this? Josephine asked, half joking, but her voice held an edge. Julia nodded, but as Josephine fell back, Julia's arms wavered, and Josephine hit the mat harder than intended. What the hell? Josephine snapped, standing with a wince, her limp more pronounced from the impact. The group stared. Julia stammered apologies. I got distracted. I'm sorry. But Josephine stormed off, leaving Julia humiliated. That evening by the campfire, Julia sought her out. We need to clear the air. Josephine sighed, staring into the flames. What's there to say? You saw me with Mark, your ex, right? And now this. Feels like you're not committed to change. Julia's eyes filled with tears. Mark means nothing. He's from my old life, the one I'm trying to escape. But you make me question everything. The confession hung heavy. Josephine softened slightly. Question what? Julia whispered. Who I am. What I want. For the first time she voiced it. I think I'm attracted to women. To you. The words escaped like a dam breaking, leaving her exposed. Josephine was stunned. Julia, you can't just say that. Not after everything. But beneath the shock, a flicker of reciprocity stirred. She'd felt the chemistry too, but trust was fractured. This isn't a game. Coming out isn't easy. I've lost family, friends. Are you ready for that? Julia shook her head. I don't know. But hiding is killing me. They talked late into the night, Josephine sharing stories of her coming out. The rejection from her parents, the isolation, but also the freedom. It's a choice with consequences, she warned. Julia absorbed it, her mind a whirlwind of fear and hope. Back in the city, their relationship shifted tentatively. Professional boundaries blurred with stolen coffees and lingering glances. Julia began exploring her identity in secret, reading books on LGBTQ experiences, attending an anonymous support group. But the secrecy weighed on her. When her sister called, gushing about a family reunion, Julia lied about her busy work life, omitting the budding romance. The deception gnawed. Was she betraying herself or protecting her loved ones? Meanwhile, societal pressures mounted. At a company event, a board member made a snide remark about diversity hires, eyeing Josephine. Julia defended her fiercely. Her skills got her here, not her identity. The boldness surprised even her, earning Josephine's grateful smile. Yet betrayal loomed. Julia's mother visited unexpectedly, staying at her apartment. Desperate to maintain the facade, Julia asked Josephine to keep distance. Just for a few days, she pleaded. Josephine agreed reluctantly, but hurt festered. During the visit, Julia's mother probed. Any nice men at work? Julia evaded, but the question stirred doubt. One night, her mother found a book on lesbian relationships hidden under the bed. What's this? She demanded. Julia panicked. Research for a campaign. The lie felt hollow, and her mother's suspicious gaze lingered. As the merger neared completion, a crisis hit. A leaked email from a disgruntled employee accused Josephine of favoritism, citing her personal relationships as bias, twisting rumors about her and Julia. The board investigated, pulling both in for questioning. Julia denied any impropriety, but the scrutiny exposed their connection. Josephine faced the brunt. This could cost me my job, she confided later. Julia felt responsible. I should have been honest from the start. The incident forced Julia to a crossroads: continue hiding or step into the light. In a heated argument at Josephine's apartment, emotions erupted. You can't have it both ways, Josephine said. Either own who you are or let me go. Julia cried. I'm scared. My family, they'll disown me. Josephine softened. I was too. But the pain of rejection fades. The pain of self-denial doesn't. Julia left in turmoil, wandering the streets, her mind replaying childhood memories of church sermons condemning sinful lifestyles. Was love worth the loss? The next day, Julia made a decision. She called her parents, voice trembling. I need to tell you something. I'm gay. The line went silent, then exploded with disbelief. Her father. This is a phase. Come home, we'll fix it. Her mother wept. What about your future? The call ended in anger, her parents hanging up. Julia felt shattered, the rejection a visceral blow. She texted Josephine. I did it. They hate me. Josephine rushed over, holding her as she sobbed. You're brave. It'll hurt, but you're free. But freedom came at a price. At work, the investigation cleared them, but whispers persisted. Julia's performance dipped amid the emotional fallout. She missed deadlines, withdrew from teams. Josephine supported her, but the strain showed. One evening, Julia snapped. Maybe this was a mistake. Everything's falling apart. Josephine recoiled. You regret it? The words sparked a fight, accusations flying. Julia blaming Josephine for pushing her, Josephine retorting that Julia wasn't ready. They parted angrily, the relationship hanging by a thread. Months passed in a haze of awkward office interactions and personal reckoning. Julia threw herself into therapy, unpacking years of internalized homophobia and family expectations. Sessions revealed deep-seated fears: abandonment, failure, unworthiness. Why did I mock you that day? She asked Josephine in a rare candid moment. Because I was projecting my own shame. Josephine nodded, her own therapy helping her process the betrayal feelings. But trust rebuilt slowly. Dates were tentative, conversations guarded. Societal backlash intensified. At a pride event Josephine convinced Julia to attend, they held hands publicly for the first time. A passerby sneered. Disgusting. The word echoed Julia's father's voice in her head, triggering a panic attack. Josephine guided her away. Ignore them. We're valid. But the incident amplified Julia's doubts. Was visibility worth the hate? Meanwhile, her family's silence stretched. No calls, no emails. Holidays loomed lonely. Julia spent Thanksgiving alone, scrolling through old photos, tears flowing. The isolation was the price of authenticity, but it eroded her resolve. At work, a promotion opportunity arose for Julia, head of marketing, but it required relocating to Chicago, away from Josephine. The offer tempted. A fresh start, escape from the drama. Josephine encouraged her. If it's what you want, go. But don't run from us. Julia agonized. Accepting meant prioritizing career over love. Rejecting meant stagnation. In a moment of weakness, she confided in a colleague, who twisted her words into gossip. Soon rumors spread. Julia was using Josephine for advancement. Josephine confronted her. Is that true? Julia denied vehemently. No, but maybe distance is good. The accusation reopened wounds, leading to another breakup threat. Desperate, Julia reached out to her estranged sister, the only family member who might understand. Over coffee, she poured out her story. Her sister listened, then admitted. I suspected. Mom and Dad are old school, but I support you. The small allyship buoyed Julia. But it highlighted the family's fracture. They might never come around, her sister warned. Julia nodded, the reality sinking in. Her choice had permanent costs. As Christmas approached, Josephine planned a surprise getaway to Vermont, hoping to mend things. Snowy cabins, fireside talks. It was romantic, but tension simmered. On a hike, Julia slipped on ice, twisting her ankle. Josephine carried her back, the act a metaphor for their dynamic. You always catch me, Julia murmured. Josephine smiled. When you let me. That night they talked honestly. Julia about her fears of loss, Josephine about her abandonment issues from family rejection. We both have scars, Josephine said. But together maybe we heal. The trip sparked renewal, but reality intruded upon return. Julia's parents finally called, demanding she repent or be cut off financially. Though independent, the emotional blackmail stung. Choose us or that lifestyle, her father said. Julia hung up, heartbroken. She confided in Josephine. What if I made the wrong choice? Josephine held her. The right choice is the one true to you. But doubt lingered, fueling arguments. One exploded over dinner. Julia accused Josephine of not understanding her privilege as already out. Josephine retorted that Julia's indecision was selfish. Decide or let me go. Doors slammed, silence followed. In the aftermath, Julia faced a moral quandary. The promotion deadline loomed. Accepting meant betraying their budding stability. Declining meant sacrificing ambition. She chose to decline, telling Josephine, I want us more. But the decision bred resentment. Julia felt trapped, Josephine guilty. Then a betrayal from within. A mutual friend revealed Josephine had confided doubts about their future to others. She said, "You're not ready," the friend said. Julia felt stabbed. "After all I've sacrificed?" Confrontation ensued. "You talked behind my back?" Josephine admitted. "I was scared. I'm sorry." Trust shattered again. The cycle of damage and repair wore them down. Julia's mental health declined. She withdrew, questioning if love was worth the pain. At a low point, she considered reconciling with her family by denying her identity. A musing shared in therapy. But the thought repulsed her. It would be a lie. Josephine, sensing the drift, proposed space. "Maybe we need time apart." Julia agreed tearfully, the separation a fresh wound. During the break, Julia volunteered at an LGBTQ center, hearing stories of resilience. One woman's tale mirrored hers. Family rejection but eventual acceptance. It inspired hope. Meanwhile, Josephine advocated at a conference, speaking on intersectionality, disability, and queerness. Her speech went viral, drawing both praise and hate mail. The exposure tested her, reminding her of the stakes. Reuniting after weeks, they met in Central Park. "I've missed you," Julia said. Josephine nodded. "Me too. But we can't keep hurting each other." They agreed to therapy together, committing to growth. But external pressures persisted. A conservative client pulled business from Apex, citing Josephine's activism as incompatible. The loss affected bonuses, including Julia's. "See what this costs." Julia vented. Josephine snapped. "It's who I am. If you can't handle it, leave." The argument escalated to a breaking point. Julia stormed out, wandering to a bar where she flirted with a woman, testing her identity. Nothing happened, but guilt consumed her. Confessing to Josephine, "I almost cheated." Josephine's face crumpled. "Why?" Julia. "To see if it's real." The betrayal was the deepest yet, questioning their foundation. Forgiveness came slowly, through tearful sessions and honest reckonings. "We both have work to do," Josephine said. They rebuilt, setting boundaries. No more secrets, full commitment. Julia cut ties with toxic influences, blocking her parents' numbers after one last plea for understanding went ignored. The act liberated her, though grief lingered. At work, they navigated professionalism, earning respect for their resilience. The rebranding project succeeded, boosting Apex's image. But society struck back. A tabloid article outed their relationship, spun as a scandalous office affair. Headlines screamed, "Disabled lesbian boss seduces subordinate." Protests from conservative groups picketed the office, chanting slurs. Julia's anxiety spiked. She received anonymous threats online. "This is what I feared," she told Josephine. "The world's not ready." Josephine rallied. "We make it ready." They issued a joint statement, affirming their love and professionalism, turning the narrative to empowerment. The backlash divided colleagues. Some supported, others distanced. Julia lost a friend who sided with traditional values. The isolation deepened her bond with Josephine, but also her resentment toward the world. "Why us?" she cried one night. Josephine. "Because we're visible. It's the price of change." Julia pondered the ethics. Was pushing boundaries selfish, endangering others? Or necessary for progress? Family reconciliation seemed impossible until Julia's sister intervened, arranging a meeting. At a neutral cafe, her parents appeared stony. "We raised you better," her mother said. Julia responded calmly. "You raised me to be honest. This is me." Arguments flew. Scripture quoted, tears shed. Her father admitted fear. "I don't want you hurt." Julia. "Hiding hurts more." They parted without resolution, but a crack formed, her mother texted later. "Thinking about it." Emboldened, Julia advocated publicly, joining Josephine at events. But the toll mounted. Exhaustion led to mistakes at work, a botched presentation costing a deal. Blame fell on their distractions. Josephine defended her but internally questioned. Was the relationship sustainable amid chaos? A quiet doubt. Maybe Julia deserved normalcy. The climax hit during a family wedding Julia's cousin invited her to. +1. Bringing Josephine meant confrontation. Going alone, betrayal. She chose Josephine, arriving hand in hand. Whispers erupted, her aunt pulled her aside. This is inappropriate. Julia stood firm. Love isn't inappropriate. The night ended in a scene. Her uncle escorting them out. In the car, Josephine asked. Worth it? Julia. Yes. For us. But the event triggered Josephine's old traumas. My family did worse, she confessed. Disowned me completely. Julia comforted her, but roles reversed. Now Josephine wavered. Sometimes I wonder if alone is easier. Julia felt the sting. After all this? The vulnerability bonded them deeper, but highlighted fragility. As spring bloomed a breakthrough, Julia's parents reached out, proposing therapy. Hesitant, Julia agreed. Sessions were brutal, accusations of brainwashing, defenses of tradition. But progress inched. Her father admitted ignorance, her mother expressed love despite disagreement. No full acceptance, but dialogue opened. Julia shared with Josephine. It's a start. Josephine smiled. Proud of you. Yet, mended fences brought new conflicts. Her parents requested Josephine's exclusion from visits. Baby steps, they said. Julia refused. All or nothing. The ultimatum strained relations anew. Internally, Julia debated. Compromise for family or stand firm? The choice tore her. Opting for integrity meant potential permanent loss. At work, a rival exploited the drama, lobbying for Josephine's demotion. Evidence of bias surfaced, fabricated but damaging. The board deliberated. Josephine fought back, presenting her record. Julia testified on her behalf. She's the best leader I've known. The support swayed opinion, clearing her. Victory sweetened their bond, but the battle scarred. In quiet moments they reflected on sacrifices. Julia's career stalled slightly. Promotions deferred due to controversy. Josephine's advocacy intensified, but at personal cost. Health flare-ups from stress aggravating her disability. Is this the life we want? Julia asked. Josephine. It's the life we chose. A turning point, Julia proposed. On a rooftop under stars, ring in hand. Through it all, you're my choice. Josephine accepted tearfully. Planning the wedding amplified joys and pains. Invites to family went unanswered. Friends rallied. The event was intimate, vows raw. I choose you, flaws and fights included. Post-wedding normalcy attempted. But a final twist. Julia's promotion offer resurfaced, this time in New York. Accepting meant stability. She did, with Josephine's blessing. Life settled, but echoes of drama lingered. Occasional hate mail, family distance. Years blended into a tapestry of triumphs and trials. Julia and Josephine built a home in Brooklyn, adopting a dog named Hope, a symbol of their journey. Work thrived. Julia led innovative campaigns promoting inclusivity. Josephine ascended to executive ranks, championing diversity policies. Their story inspired others. Young employees sought advice, sharing similar struggles. But scars remained. Holidays were bittersweet, spent with chosen family, memories of blood relatives haunting. Julia's internal conflicts evolved. Therapy continued, unpacking lingering guilt over the initial mockery. I hurt you before I knew you, she told Josephine. And myself. Josephine forgave fully. We grew from it. Yet societal shifts brought new battles. Legislation threatened LGBTQ rights. They marched in protests, voices hoarse from chanting. One rally turned violent. Police clashes, Josephine's leg injured in the chaos. Hospitalized, she whispered. Worth it. Julia holding her hand. For our future, yes. Family thawed incrementally. A birthday card from her mother arrived. Unsigned but meaningful. Julia responded, bridges mending slowly. Her father attended a neutral event. A book launch on queer aviation history Josephine authored. Awkward hugs exchanged. No apologies, but presence spoke volumes. Julia pondered the ethics. Forgiveness without remorse? Necessary for healing, or enabling denial? Betrayals faded, but lessons endured. A colleague's coming out story mirrored Julia's, seeking guidance. The pain is real, Julia advised. But so is the joy. Mentoring became her outlet, paying forward Josephine's influence. Yet doubts crept. Had her choices harmed more than helped? Career setbacks, emotional tolls, were they justified? As they aged gracefully, reflections deepened. On their 10th anniversary, overlooking the Hudson, Josephine asked, "Regrets?" Julia paused. "Some, but not us." They toasted to resilience, acknowledging the prices paid. Lost relationships, battled prejudices, personal growth forged in fire. The narrative of their lives became a quiet legend in circles, proof that love defies odds, but not without cost. Julia wrote a memoir anonymously, detailing the raw truths. The mockery that sparked change, the coming out that fractured family, the love that healed and hurt. Readers debated online. Heroic or reckless? In twilight years, health challenges arose. Josephine's disability worsened, requiring surgery. Julia cared tirelessly, roles reversing. "You caught me this time," Josephine joked. The ordeal tested vows but strengthened resolve. Family finally reconciled fully. Grandchildren adopted, bridged gaps, her parents attending birthdays, acceptance hard won. Yet the core question lingered. Did the pursuit of authenticity justify the wreckage? Julia, in her final reflections, wondered aloud to Josephine. Was it all worth the pain? Their story ends not in resolution, but in contemplation. A testament to the complexities of identity, love, and society. Was Julia's initial mockery an unforgivable act, or a catalyst for necessary growth that ultimately redeemed her?